This is Julie Kumari. She was the victim of a horrific acid attack that was actually intended for her mother at just 4 years old. Julie's father was so angry that her mother had left him and remarried that he actually quietly broke into their house in the middle of the night and poured acid over her and her new husband. But what he didn't realize was that his daughter was in the bed with them. Julie's face and half of her body were completely melted by the acid.
Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys are brand new here to the channel, you guys don't know what we do, don't worry, I'm gonna break it down for you guys, man. We talk about the most scariest and creepiest videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG reels, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. I just want to thank all my supporters, man, who's coming back to the channel each and every single day, watching the videos entirely, man, commenting down below, and most importantly, hit that thumbs up button on each and every single video drop. You guys are helping grow in the community. I really appreciate the support. Found this video for you guys today, man. Let's do what we do best, seekers. Stay with me, y'all. Let's seek the truth.
This is the disturbing moment this woman laughed in court after she took this 3-year-old's life in a random attack. On June 3rd, police received numerous phone calls about a stabbing at a grocery store parking lot in Ohio. At around 3 p.m. on this day, 38-year-old Margot Wood was loading groceries into her car while her 3-year-old son Julian sat in his car seat. That's when 32-year-old Bianca Ellis entered the car and began stabbing the little boy. When Margot noticed, she tried to stop the attacker, and as a result, she was also wounded. Julian was then rushed to the hospital where he unfortunately passed away. Now, what's disturbing was that this was a random attack, and after looking at surveillance footage, the attacker was seen following the mother and the child in and out of the grocery store. Then, when Bianca was brought into court, the judge began reading out the indictment, and she was seen smiling and laughing the entire time. And after an assessment was done on Bianca, they're arguing that she has bipolar disorder and had a psychotic break, which explains why she did what she did. And this story only gets crazier. Before this incident, Bianca confessed to another murder in Bakersfield, and she even gave details of what she did with this person's body. She also warned officers that if she wasn't arrested, she was going to murder someone and eat their flesh. But none of this was taken too serious, and she was released from the mental institution, and not long after, she committed this heinous crime.
That's insane, man. She literally said what she was gonna do and they still released her. What is up with this world, seekers? Certified psychopath.
Today I googled what are some of the worst acid attacks ever recorded. Now this is the 5th and final part of the series on acid attack victims. This is Julie Kumari. She was the victim of a horrific acid attack that was actually intended for her mother at just 4 years old. Julie's father was so angry that her mother had left him and remarried that he actually quietly broke into their house in the middle of the night and poured acid over her and her new husband. But what he didn't realize was that his daughter was in the bed with them. Julie's face and half of her body were completely melted by the acid, and her mother had to sell her entire farm to pay for the hospital fees. Now, the reason that Julie's face is fused to her shoulder like that is because it would require a surgery to detach it, and her mother simply didn't have the money for that surgery.
That's so sad, man. The things people do out of jealousy.
You won't believe what this man was caught doing with a corpse. 46-year-old Randall Bird was caught doing inappropriate things to a corpse while he was working his shift as a security guard at the Banner University Medical Center in Phoenix. Randall's job was to bring deceased bodies to the hospital's morgue and slip them into the freezer. But during his shift, co-workers walked in on him and caught Randall inside the freezer with his zipper down, his uniform looking messy, and a body bag open. He was seen almost on top of the 79-year-old deceased woman, and when the workers walked in, he quickly tried to cover the body. The workers said that Randall looked so sweaty and nervous when they caught him, and his excuse was that he had a medical emergency and he almost passed out. His co-workers did not believe a single word and reported the incident. When Randall was interviewed by police a few days later, he basically just said the same story and said that he couldn't remember much of what happened. But not long after, investigators found his DNA on the woman's body, which proves that Randall was in fact doing what we all assumed. He was arrested and now faces multiple charges.
Animals that killed their owners. Teddy the black bear, On the 5th of October 2009, Teddy the Black Bear ended the life of owner Kelly in Walls after 9 years of being raised by her. Kelly lost her life to the 350-pound bear when she was cleaning its cage, and it came out of nowhere and attacked her.
Goes to show you, man, wild animals cannot be kept as pets. It's a reason why it never ends well. She had a pet bear.
Animal facts that'll blow your mind right out of your head. Contrary to popular belief, tigers aren't always solo hunters. They hunt in packs a lot, and a pack of tigers is called an ambush, as you can see why. Flamingos are naturally gray. That's their natural color, but they turn pink because of their diet of seafood. The black-footed cat is the most dominant hunter on the planet, despite standing 6 inches tall. There's a crocodile named Gustav that's believed to have killed over 300 people, and he's still out there. Oh, and I guess crocodiles got a new update, and apparently they can climb trees now? The chicken is closer related to the T-Rex than it is any other bird on the planet. There is not one report of an orca ever attacking a human in the wild. Dolphins like to get intoxicated, and they do it by passing around a pufferfish and using its venom. The biggest threat to a porcupine's life is themselves. They like to climb trees, and sometimes they fall and pierce all their quills right through themselves. Under all that fur, polar bears have black skin. It looks like a chupacabra. And the best fact of all, in 2022, the panda status changed from endangered to vulnerable. Go panda.
Worst ways people have died. Part 6.
Right there. Over a hat, man. Some things are not worth it.
Imagine accidentally knocking on the wrong door and then being murdered because of it. Well, that's what happened to 56-year-old Maria Cotto after visiting a client at an apartment building in Westchester. Maria was a caseworker for the county's Department of Social Services and was conducting home visits when she accidentally knocked on 31-year-old Hasim Jekin's front door. When he answered the door, instead of directing Maria to the correct apartment, he punched her in the face. Maria tried running from him, but he chased her into a neighbor's apartment and he continued to kick her in the head with a pair of heavy boots. Somehow, while this was all going on, she managed to call 911, but when police arrived, Hasim claimed that Maria tried to stab him and that's why he beat her. But that never happened. She only knocked on his door because she thought that was her client's home. This poor lady suffered severe brain bleeding, brain swelling, and multiple facial fractures. She was placed on a ventilator, but unfortunately, she passed away a month later. When Hasim was arrested, Maria's phone was found in his pocket, and now he's facing a long list of charges, including second-degree murder. And something her family said, which is so sad, is that this all happened the year before Maria planned to retire.
How rare is your body? Only 1% of people can wiggle their ears voluntarily, and only 10% of people have a small hole above their ear. Do you have one? Only 20% of people can actually flare their nostrils. I thought everyone could do it. Next, only 2% of people have Norton's toe, where the second toe is longer than the big toe. Those are some weird toes. And finally, around 20% of people have a rare condition where they can taste colors and see sound. I guess tasting the rainbow could be a real thing.
What's going on?
This is what animals look like wet. First, we have a cute sloth, and honestly, it has to be the most terrifying thing I've seen in a while. Next, we have an owl. Okay, why does it look so old? This is what a koala looks like normally, but this will give you nightmares. Next, we have a cute cat. Why did his eyes double in size? Finally, we have a monkey, and he looks like he needs help. Tell me what animal I should do next.
Crazy things happening in the world right now.
Katy Perry tripped to space. Katy Perry recently went to space as part of an all-female crew on Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin rocket and made a history as the first pop star in luxury goods, such as handbags, apparel, and cosmetics, to U.S. consumers at significantly lower prices than retail. This is partly a response to the U.S. tariffs imposed on Chinese goods.
I say goodbye to my wife and kids and make the 3-hour trek to St. Paul to fight for our way of life, because day after day, it is under attack from Metro liberals.
A Minnesota state senator just arrested, accused of soliciting a minor for prostitution.
You really can't make this shit up. So this is Justin Eichhorn. He's a senator from Minnesota. And you heard that right. He was recently arrested during a sting operation because he was trying to purchase time with a minor for sex. So Justin had been speaking online to someone that he believed was a 16-year-old girl. But when he finally showed up to meet this young girl to rape her, because that's what it would have been, instead of finding a minor, Justin encountered a major problem. The authorities were there waiting for him to arrive, and they quickly arrested him. Now, this is incredibly significant because Justin is a senator, a lawmaker. And he was recently in the news because he was one of 5 co-authors of a bill that would officially designate Trump derangement syndrome as an officially recognized mental illness in Minnesota. Now, it isn't surprising to me that a politician has been caught in a pedophile sting. We already know that there are tons of politicians that are pedophiles. I've covered this issue extensively on all of my social media. But when you've recently been in the news for calling a large number of Americans deranged, your constituents, and then this happens, it's just not surprising. And thankfully, when you go to look up his information, he has resigned. And he's thankfully no longer a senator in Minnesota.
A new study has just revealed which countries have the biggest and smallest average penis size. So let's start with the smallest, shall we? Copying it straight on the chin, we have the Philippines in 87th place with 4.27 inches. In 88th place is Taiwan with a solid 4.24 inches. And in dead last, we have Cambodia locking in a pocket rocket 3.95 inches. Moving over to the world's largest, we have Bolivia in 3rd place. Coming in hard and just scraping second, we have Cameroon with 6.56 inches, and then casting a large shadow over the competition, in 1st place we have Ecuador with 6.93 inches on average. Watching in disbelief from 66th place, we have the UK with 5.17 inches. If you want to see where your country placed, here is the full 86. Feel free to pause. But the question is this list correct?
Who even makes a list of that? That's weird.
This girl from Ohio got reincarnated after she claimed she was Cleopatra's servant, and her memories were terrifyingly real. In 1963, in the quiet town of Ashford, Ohio, a little girl named Emily was born. From a young age, she said strange things that her parents couldn't explain. At just 4 years old, Emily told her mother, "I used to live in Egypt. I was a servant to Cleopatra." Her parents laughed, thinking it was just a child's imagination. But Emily didn't stop. She kept repeating it every day. As Emily grew older, her memories grew clearer. By the time she was 6, she could draw and write in ancient Egyptian symbols, even though no one had taught her. She talked about the royal palace as if she had lived there, describing the rich scents of perfumes and the grand stone floors. When Emily turned 18, her parents took her on a trip to Egypt. They were curious but still unsure of what was going on. When they arrived at the Great Pyramids, Emily moved through the ancient halls like she had been there before. She pointed out rooms no one else knew about, walked through secret passageways, and described hidden chambers in detail. At one point, Emily stopped in front of a small chamber and said, "This is where I used to sleep." Her parents were shocked because there was no sign of a room like that on any tour. A few days later, they found a hidden tomb in one of the pyramids. Inside, they discovered a mummified servant dressed in robes, and it looked exactly like Emily. The tomb was unmarked, but above it was a symbol Emily had been drawing since she was a child. Emily's parents couldn't explain it. Some people believe she was Cleopatra's servant in a past life, reincarnated to walk the earth again.
See, because you guys believe in a past life reincarnation? I mean, everything she said was lining up. They went and tore everything. She was just opening secret passages, secret rooms. It's kind of hard to ignore that evidence.
Because everyone's talking about the possible serial killer in Grand Junction, Colorado, let me tell you about one of their most infamous murder cases. The Blacks were a picture-perfect family of born-again Christians until November 13th, 2001, when Michael came home to a pool of blood. His wife Jennifer and 6-year-old daughter Abby missing. The back door was left open, Jennifer's purse was spilled out on the floor, and her jewelry was missing. But when authorities looked at the crime scene, something was off. If a stranger had broken into their home, why would they leave items of value behind, like guns and cash? And why would they move the bodies in Jennifer's van and return it to the family's garage? In May the following year, investigators start digging through the Mesa County landfill, and after removing 3,000 tons of trash, they find the mummified remains of Jennifer Black, wrapped in a tent and surrounded by trash from her husband's workplace. Michael was convicted for only his wife's murder in 2004, but 13 years later he got a second shot at freedom. It turns out a juror lied on her questionnaire about being a victim of DV. In 2018 he got the same result, life in prison without the possibility of parole. And despite being convicted twice, he refuses to reveal the location of his 6-year-old daughter Abby. It's believed her remains are still deep in the Mesa County landfill.
The Jeffrey Epstein Island has one of the most disturbing histories in America. Nobody really knows the full truth behind it. The island was owned by millionaire Francis Sheldon. Him and a number of local men from Michigan, including this guy, Gerald S. Richard, ran a boys group on the island. So what would they do? They would fly kids on this airstrip to the island. Parents were told that the island was for fun and for the kids to relax. Keep in mind that this camp was literally ran for years. Well, eventually the kids started telling their parents that these counselors or teachers were actually behaving in very inappropriate ways to them. The kids were then told to go into these cabins where the counselors would tell them to take their clothes off and would even assault them. I'm running out of time, so please like and follow for part 2.
Epstein Island, man. It's crazy, bro.
We now know who the girl is in the Florida State Starbucks video, and when you hear what she went through, this whole situation is gonna piss you off even more. The girl who was on the floor dying and being recorded by someone who had no regard for her life was revealed to be 23-year-old Madison Askins, and her story is absolutely insane. So Madison was walking with a friend when they started to hear shots, so they both took off running, but Madison unfortunately fell. Her friend tried to help her up, but then Askins was shot in the behind, and her friend ran to safety, which she said was valid. And as Askins laid on the ground wounded, she remained calm, didn't move, and played dead. She said, I released all the muscles in my body, closed my eyes, and held my breath, and I would take short breaths in between when I needed to. She said at one point she thought the suspect walked away, so she was gonna shift over to grab her phone and share her last I love yous with her family, and she wanted to call her dad and say she loved him. But then she heard the suspect approach and reload his weapon, and under his breath say, yeah, keep running. She said, I know for certain if I was moving, he would have shot me again. I mean, can you imagine? The suspect eventually left, and sometime after that, the girl holding Starbucks casually walked by, recorded her, and posted it everywhere. Authorities then came over, packed her wound, and said that they got him. Askins will likely stay in the hospital for several more days because she still has the bullet lodged in her vertebrae and will have it removed in a later surgery. But Askins said this isn't gonna slow her down. She's so glad to be with her family and she's not gonna let it tear her down. Prayers to this poor girl. Let me know what you guys think, and as always, I'll keep you guys updated.
This is a true horrifying story, part 25. Warning, this is not a joke. The information that's going to be shared is dangerous and life-threatening. Do not, under any circumstance, commit the actions that will be narrated. This is the world's most dangerous book ever, Shams al-Ma'arif. This book was written by Ahmad al-Buni in the 17th century. But technically, the author of this book is not a human being. I never did and will never read this book. And this is your second warning. Do not read this book. Ahmad al-Buni practiced black magic, and he was in contact with the most powerful jinns and demons before he passed away. The jinns were the authors of this book. The elder generations, like our moms and dads, have heard about this book and they were warned by it. There are thousands of horrifying stories of people who read this book. Shams al-Ma'arif explains everything about black magic, how to get in touch with the world of jinns, how to marry a jinn, and the sacrifices you have to do for the devil, and much more. Unfortunately, this book can be easily found online. One day, a Saudi Arabian man that read hundreds of books for a living decided to read this book specifically out of interest and love for all books, without fearing the consequences behind it. He reached the chapter that teaches readers how to get married to a female jinn. He laughed about it. He tried the ritual to experiment it. The first night after finishing the whole book and completing the marriage ritual, he felt someone breathing next to his face. And on the second night, he felt a hand touching his feet. And on the third night, he heard her voice. The man was officially locked in a marriage with a demon. 5 years go by. He met a normal, beautiful woman that he fell in love with, and they both decided to get married a week before the wedding day. The bride, the bride's parents, and the groom's parents all pass and die in 3 different car crashes. These are the consequences behind this book. And it's also known from many stories of people that have died from reading the first few pages. If you don't finish reading the book, you will get killed. All my stories, all of them, are true incidents that happened one time only. But this book is a product that is permanently available online. I beg you, do not go anywhere near Shams al-Ma'arif. This video is to educate you on the dangers behind this book. Do not go anywhere close to the world of jinns.
I won't. I take heed to his warning. As always, man. The fact that it's online is even crazier. People still have access to that.
Worst deaths imaginable, number 16, and it's also a theme park death. Viewer discretion is advised. And for this one, we are going to Queensland, Australia. Sorry, Jared, I know this is your neck of the woods, but I just had to do this one. This is a theme park called Dream World. It opened in December of 1981. It now includes 47 different attractions, including 4 roller coasters. In December of 1986, it opened Thunder River Rapids, a ride much like many others around the world, where you would board a raft like this one that simulates what a raging river would be like. In October of 2016, a horrible tragedy would occur that would shut the ride down forever. 6 passengers boarded one of the rafts: Kate Goodchild, Luke Dorset, Ruzba Argai, and Cindy Lowe. Also on the raft were 2 children, Kieran Lowe and Ebony Goodchild. Now, at the end of this ride, much like all the other rides just like this one, you go up a conveyor belt that will lead you to the place where you depart. Now, when you get to the top, the water is supposed to be there to kind of help bring the raft along. But on this day, the water levels were not where they were supposed to be. There were 2 large water pumps, and one of those pumps had failed. The water pumps are absolutely essential to this ride operating safely and properly. But because of the failure of one of them, the water levels rapidly dropped. Now, what happened was, one raft got to this area, the water levels were dropped, and so the raft itself got stuck. And then the raft holding the 6 passengers I mentioned earlier, well, this happened. I'll give you a trigger warning, but this is just an animation. So the raft with the 6 passengers on it flipped. The picture behind me is the aftermath. There is nothing graphic about it, but this is the end result. And yes, this is the exact photo. By some miracle, the 2 children were actually thrown to safety, but sadly the 4 adults would not be so lucky. Again, nothing graphic is shown here, but what happened was that when the boat flipped, it flipped completely over. And 2 of the adults got stuck under the raft and they drowned. Drowning takes a while. Drowning is considered one of the worst ways to go. Now, the other 2, because the ride's operator didn't know which emergency stop button to hit them both! The conveyor belt was still going, and 2 of the adults got trapped inside the conveyor belt, and they were slowly crushed to death, slowly and painfully. Thunder River Rapids was then permanently closed.
It should be.
Firstly, on top of a hill in Pennsylvania, some stones can be found that shouldn't actually be there, because there's no nearby high terrain where they could have originated. These are called the ringing rocks, because whenever something hits these stones, they make a strange ringing noise.
Ooh, interesting.
Next is the petrifying well in England, where water flows from a rock and turns whatever it touches into stone. As you can see, people often leave items like hats, teddy bears, or even bicycles, which appear to have already been turned into stone. Some people believe there's a mystical power, but the scientific reason behind this is the unusually high mineral content in the water, which forms a hard mineral shell on any object it comes into contact with. And within a few months, everything essentially becomes a stone statue.
Crazy things happening in the world right now that you probably didn't know about. First up, a brain chip was implanted into a paralyzed man, which allowed him to send out tweets with just his mind. This tweet was written by 62-year-old Philip O'Keefe by just thinking it. Next, NASA might know something that we don't, because apparently they hired religious scholars to prepare humanity for alien contact. And turns out we're not done with the virus because the first cases of flu Rona was found. But believe it or not, there's even more. There might be a whole new pandemic in 2022 called the bird flu. But let's end on a more positive note. 2 inventors in Kenya created the first ever bio-robotic arm that's controlled by only brain signals. It was mainly invented to help disabled people with everyday tasks. Follow for more.
So there's a
What do you guys think happened?
place where hell is on earth. In the Bible, Jesus said, one of my disciples named Antipas would die and be martyred, right? Now, Saint Antipas was martyred and he was killed in, you know that torture bowl? So they put somebody in like a metal bowl and like boil him alive. Yeah, that happened in Geneva, Switzerland. People are saying Geneva, Switzerland is the literal place of hell. It's literally the portal to hell, or that's at least where the devil resides, because that's what it says in the Bible. Now check this out. Do you know what else is in Geneva, Switzerland? What? CERN. Oh, CERN headquarters is in Geneva, Switzerland, and the CERN logo is what? Six, fam. CERN is working on particle generation and messing with matter of the universe to tear our dimension with the supernatural and the natural, fam. Yeah. So what in theory? They're trying to open the portal to hell, bro. Here's the truth behind.
Whoa. At first, I'm about to say I wasn't kind of buying it, because I'm about to say I've heard, I think, like, nice things about Switzerland, but once he said CERN, the dots were connected, man. Reviewing these clips together, we learned a lot about that. So, the portal to hell is in Switzerland. I guess I can cross that place off my bucket list. We will not be going there.
And the Grinch. So we all know the Grinch absolutely despises Christmas. However, at the end of the movie, his heart grows 3 sizes and he loves Christmas once again. But this story continues longer than you think. Surprising facts about religion. Christianity is the most popular religion worldwide. Hinduism is supposedly the oldest religion worldwide. China is the most atheist country in the world. Around 1.2 billion people do not follow any religion. Somalia is ranked as the most religious country.
Wow, really? I never even would have guessed that about China. Like I said, watching these clips together, man, I'm always updating my knowledge base, so I'm grateful for you guys as well. We're learning together.
Trying your doorbell. I have a couple questions for you. Are you sure? Are you positive? Are you sure? I just have a couple questions for you. Are you sure? Are you positive?
Who the hell is he talking
I
to?
just have a couple questions for you.
Oh, he glitching.
Are you sure? Are you positive? Are you sure? Are you absolutely certain?
My anxiety would be through the roof if this ever happened to me. This man was trying to enter this woman's home after he saw her inside her kitchen through an open window. And And then he walked up to the door, which you see in this video, and told her that he wanted to R her and take her life. Police found him the next day. He identified himself as the Holy Spirit, and then he was arrested.
This is the disturbing truth about Disney World.
Weirdo.
In the Haunted Mansion at Disney theme parks, people who go on the ride commit suicide during the course of the ride and become a ghost. At the beginning of the ride, the ghost narrator says, the only way to escape the mansion is to die. And he then shows that he hanged himself. Near the end of the ride, there's a moment when the ride's vehicle turns around backwards, and you go off a balcony, which represents you jumping to your death. Before that part of the ride, all of the ghosts are trying to scare you. But afterwards they sing excitedly and invite you to party with them, technically meaning that you're dead. This is a super disturbing ride, and it's crazy to think that this ride is at Disney.
So this is
I won't be going on that.
your mind. Did you know that it wasn't illegal to own CP or CSAM in Japan until the year 2014? That's right, until the year 2014, anybody could own CP or CSAM in Japan with no legal consequences. I find that really hard to believe, but it is true. Look it up. And did you also know that Japan just raised the age of consent last year from 13 to 16? Now, these are definitely steps in the right direction, not the adequate steps, I would imagine. But something really disturbing is that there's no law in place in Japan to prevent people from drawing CP, CSAM, and selling it. A recent study that was done showed that 30 to 40% of manga comics in Japan contain sexual undertones with characters that are underage. And like I just said, this could be like a joke, or it could be full-on graphic, drawn content. And there are no laws making that illegal in Japan. I mean, I find that incredibly hard to believe. Here in America, you would be put in prison for a long time for having something like that in your possession.
Yep.
But in Japan, it is still completely legal and it hasn't been outlawed. Now, I don't understand why they waited till 2014 to finally pass a law that would put pedophiles in prison. But as you can imagine, the sentences that these people are getting over there are literally nothing. Like, I've read stories of people that were found with hundreds, thousands of images and videos on their computers and hard drives, and they were sentenced to probation, asked to pay like a $500 fee. But this is a major issue, and I felt like people should know about that, because when I read that, I was just disturbed. If you want to join me on my journey to expose pedophiles and pedophile ring, listen to my podcast, The Conspiracy Files, on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or you can subscribe to my channel. And let me tell you, this video, you should watch this. It is very enlightening.
Different places, man, around the world have different rules and laws, but that one about Japan, I wouldn't have even believed it if I didn't see it for myself.
You're probably on your phone too much, so here are some stats. So the Philippines consistently ranks the highest in screen time with an average of 10 hours per day, with Brazil and Thailand coming in second and third right afterwards with about 9, and Japan is the lowest with about 4.5. Men generally spend 10% more time online than women, likely due to men's interest in gaming, which adds that additional percent, though women consistently spend more time on social media and online retailers. 90% of screen time is spent on a mobile phone for the younger generations, though for millennials and greater, TV becomes disproportionately more prevalent. Generationally, 13 to 18-year-olds spend the most time on phones at 7.5 hours per day, with 18 to 24-year-olds spending 6.5 hours, and under 13-year-olds spending 5 hours. The silent generation predictably has the lowest at 2 hours and 30 minutes. Screen time has doubled in just the last 15 years and has gone up 75% since the pandemic. 50% of infants are even using their phones, and 50% of people reportedly wake up in the middle of the night to check their phones. And finally, most people pick up their phones an average of 200 times per day. So maybe put it down. Videos that...
Hey man, wish I got screen time. I try to keep mine below, and like I said, trying to keep it below 8 hours, but that's crazy, man. You seen with the new generation, the stats just keep increasing. Speaking of word, bad, bro. I saw a freaking toddler had a phone. I didn't have a phone until I was like damn near a teenager, bro. That's insane. It's going down to the younger generation, man.
That cannot be explained.
Do you hear that?
I hear it. He's still there.
You all done? All right, Jake, you go to bed now? All right. Got this nice bottle of boiling water to keep my sleeping bag warm, but I'm not quite ready to go to bed, so I'm just gonna put it right there. On that note, I think I'm gonna get my bed set up. Always try to put something in between the stove and my sleeping bag in case I roll around in the night. I don't want that sleeping bag even touching that stove. It'll melt a hole or worse yet, catch on fire. Go to sleep and I'll see you guys in the morning.
Creepy last words
Brave
people
soul.
said right before dying. Registered nurse Shirley Smith said that she had a very rich patient who was a true Satanist that was dying of cancer. The patient had upside-down crosses and a Satan's Bible by her bedside. Shirley said that she will never forget what happened. It was the middle of the summer, and yet it was so cold and dark in her room that you couldn't even stand it, even in the middle of the day. She said that it got so evil feeling in there that she had to call a priest to pray with her and her aides before they would even enter the room. When the patient passed away, she had not spoken in over 24 hours. And then all of a sudden, she sat straight up and said, "Satan, take me." And then she fell back on the bed. Shirley said that after she passed, the room got bright and extremely warm. Shockingly, when they moved the patient's body, they had to get rid of the mattress because where her body had been, it looked burnt. And the most horrible smell was emanating from the mattress cover. Needless to say, Shirley went to confession immediately because she did not want an evil spirit around her. A nurse said that one of their patients had a serious recurrence and had to be admitted. Over the course of several nights, he had become quite upset during rounds. He kept asking for his wallet, saying that he had to pay the ferryman. The medical student on rotation in the department took a quarter out of his pocket and put it in the patient's hand. The patient then dropped the coin into the cup on his bedstand and calmed down. Later that night, he passed away quietly. The nurse asked what happened. The medical student, who remembered his Greek mythology, said that the patient had to pay Karen, the ferryman, to be taken across the river Styx. A nurse said that he was doing rounds at a hospital. There was one two-patient room, and one of the patients was a very loud and confused woman who could be quite a handful. On this particular night, she had a roommate who had passed away shortly before the nurse entered the room. She was DNR, so there was no code blue. When he entered the room, he noticed that the elderly lady, who was usually very loud and confused, was sitting quietly with her hands crossed neatly upon her lap. Something was different, and there was this look of serenity on her face. She asked him in a voice that seemed much younger and clearer than before, "Did you see them, young man? They're so beautiful." He said, "No, ma'am, there's no one else here." She said, "They're right next to you, talking to Mrs. Banneker. The angels. They're so beautiful." He said that he instantly felt every hair of his body stand up, and an electric tingle course up and down his spine. "They're not here for me this time," she said sadly.
Ooh. It's like he could feel their presence. Feel the energy, feel their aura. Some wild stories. Edit. Call it like we see it, man. If y'all see any edits, man, call them out.
This is the true story of the tooth fairy. In the 1950s, there was a woman named Tess Tickle who was a dentist in Ohio. One day after work, she had discovered her husband having an affair with their neighbor. But before I continue, I advise you to check if your phone is being spied on. Save this video, click here, then here, and if you see this, delete it immediately. Now Tess was angry and heartbroken, but she didn't react. She just told him to pack his bags and leave. Around 7 months later, her husband knocked on the door, begging and asking her to fix his toothache. You see, he didn't have good insurance, and he knew that she used to fix his cavities for free. That's when Tess looked at him and smiled. She said, "Sure, meet me in my office tomorrow night." The next night, she put him under anesthesia. When her ex-husband finally woke up, he realized all his teeth were gone, and Tess was no longer there to be found. The next couple of years, men and women who are unloyal to their partners started reporting waking up to a dark figure who puts them to sleep and steals all their teeth. When police started to investigate, it led them to a cave in the forest. Then they saw something disturbing. Type part 2 if you want to hear what happens next.
Oh,
Scariest
man.
sounds in space
Type
are
part 2.
100% real. A while back, NASA posted some audio clips on their official website of real sounds captured from objects in space. Now that should be impossible, right? There's no sound in space, so NASA's clearly a phony agency that fakes everything. Okay, relax. As much as I love the tinfoil hat stuff, NASA actually has something called an electromagnetic acoustic transducer, a device that can convert electromagnetic waves and other vibrations emitted by objects. Electricity, radio, ultrasonic, the only difference being the length of each wave. Some wavelengths we can detect with our eyes, like the visible light spectrum, and others with our ears, like sound, and still others that we humans can't even detect at all. This gadget takes those waves and maps them to the audio wavelength range that we can hear. As it happens, some electromagnetic waves in space even occur within our audio frequency range, and we can listen to those directly using this device. Well, from those readings, these have been rated among the scariest sounds in space that NASA has ever recorded. That just sounds like a howling breeze in the middle of winter to me. This one makes sense to me. A pulsar is a rapidly rotating dead star. I could imagine one would sound like that.
Milky Way. That's the one.
As it is to say, that's exactly what I'd imagine the Milky Way galaxy to sound like.
Is this a supernova?
No, bro, that's fake, This one I'm calling cap on. There's no way.
That's cap.
Nah. This one ain't real. That ain't real.
Quasar?
A little scarier, but this one sounds more real to me. Okay. A little creepier. Sounds like there's something going on over there. Now that right there, that's a black hole. Yeah, that's definitely not a place I want to be. Oh, well, looks like that's it. Let me know if you think these sounds are real or not.
Some of those are, I think some of those are cap, especially the supernova. That was like, no, I don't believe a supernova sound like that. If it is, I'll be really, really surprised if a supernova truly sounds like that. But to be able to even hear in space, first time I heard of that.
Things humans weren't meant to see. A man traveled to Egypt and placed a remote-controlled car inside one of the pyramids. The original poster claimed to have found something the government would want to keep a secret. He also wanted to be paid $5 million for the rest of the footage to be revealed, but it never did.
He's going deep into those pyramids. Definitely gonna find something he ain't supposed to see.
As it gets deeper, it shows what appears to be a tall figure inside the chambers.
definitely need the rest of
Me
that.
and a bunch of my friends at Fantastic Fest got to see the premiere of Terrifier 3. And not only did I get to see the movie and meet the freaking cast and director of Terrifier 3, I was sincerely blown away. Look, it's no surprise I've been immensely hyped for this movie, and also went into the theater being a big fan of the Terrifier series and wanting to have a good time. But I was not expecting to sincerely really like this as a movie. Because bottom line, this is the best out of the entire Terrifier franchise. Because not only does it dial up the intense scenes with art and the gore to an 11, but it actually has plot and moments with our characters. Now, of course, there's the big question that a lot of people want to know. Is there a moment in the movie that beats the hacksaw scene from Terrifier 1? Is there a moment in Terrifier 3 that beats the room scene in Terrifier 2? And my answer is weird, but that kind of depends upon you. There are some moments in this movie, especially the first 10 minutes, where the specific moment may not be as heavily gory intense as the hacksaw or the bedroom, but the weight of what Art is doing to who he's doing it to is where it gets really intense. Like, they basically took Art from Terrifier 1 and put him in the same tone of movie like Terrifier 2. Yeah, mean, scary Art is back, and he's more brutal than ever. And I think for mainstream audiences, that's going to be the biggest turnoff. But as fans of the Terrifier series, I was laughing through the entire thing. Maybe I'm just messed up, maybe I'm absolutely sick. But just Damien Leone has just an amazing showcase of some messed up gore. Like, the chainsaw scene in particular, talk about moments before disaster. So I'll say this, I absolutely think this is the better of the three films, especially when it comes to just the overall movie aspect of it. The runtime, the editing, the pacing, 1,000 times better. This movie's definitely not going to be for everybody. But if you go in expecting and knowing the tone of the Terrifier films and what Damien Leone is trying to accomplish with them, I think you're really going to love it. Oh, and the Ice Nine Kills song and music video at the end of Terrifier 3 is arguably better than the movie.
If someone is trying to make you decide in a hurry, they are probably giving you a bad deal. Walk away. If someone has a panic attack, start breathing regularly and loudly. The person that is panicking will subconsciously start breathing in rhythm with you. When a group of people laugh, they tend to look at the person they like the most. Nervousness and excitement have the same body reaction, so if you're nervous for a speech, trick yourself into thinking you're actually excited. If you think someone is watching you, fake a yawn, then watch them. Get someone to contribute to an idea and they will more likely accept it. If you whisper to someone, it's more likely they will whisper back even if there's no good reason to lower your voice. If you want to make someone feel uncomfortable, look at their forehead while you're talking to them. If you want somebody to open up to you, ask them a question. If the person only partially answers it, remain silent and keep eye contact. This will pressure the person into talking more. If you want to be more persuasive, reduce the use of the words I think and I believe. Touching someone on their shoulder or on their knee creates a stronger emotional bond with that person. Chew gum if you are still nervous. Our brains assume that if we are eating, then we are not in any immediate danger, lowering our fight or flight response. When you approach a group of people, notice if they turn their feet towards you or away from you. If their feet point away from you, you are probably not welcome. Subtly nodding when people are talking to you indicates that you are genuinely interested in what they are having to say and they're going to like you more. If you take a moment to look at someone's eye color when meeting them, you'll be giving them the perfect amount of eye contact. If there is a mirror behind where you are ordering, you are less likely to be rude because nobody wants to see themselves actually be rude. If you buy the first pitcher at the bar with your friends, you'd be surprised how far you could go by saying, I bought the first one. If someone is making jokes at your expense, act like you can't hear them and ask them to repeat it multiple times. By the time they say it a third or fourth time, nobody's laughing. When someone remembers you, they are most likely going to remember the first memory and the last memory of you. So make sure you always leave a good last impression too. After you have learned how to do something new and have done it yourself, the fastest way to retain that information is to teach somebody else.
True.
If you have a song stuck in your head and you can't get it out, try and listen to the whole song all the way through while singing it. Your brain is treating the song like an unfinished task in your subconscious. Plan something for every Wednesday that you can look forward to. You'll start to look forward to it on Monday, and by the time Wednesday comes around, you're already halfway through the week and almost to the weekend. If you ask someone to do a small favor for you, their subconscious mind is going to register that they like you because they're doing a favor for you. Showing the palms of your hands while talking to someone subconsciously communicates that you have nothing to hide and that you can be trusted. Whenever you're introducing a new idea to someone and you lead with the words, "This might not be for you, but," it intrigues their interest and makes it feel like it probably is for them. If you need to remember to do something tomorrow, put something in your room out of place. If you don't want to get out of bed, throw your pillow across the room. The next day, you will see this item out of place and it will jog your memory of what you need to accomplish. If you're procrastinating, just stop telling yourself how much work you have to do. This will overwhelm you. Instead, tell yourself you only have to work for 5-10 minutes, and then you're likely going to continue working past those minutes. People who are lying will normally blink more than normal, hide the palms of their hands, glance up to the right, mess with their hair, or use abnormally long sentences. If you're trying to get over a breakup, do not use fictional scenarios. Imagining your person with someone new is only going to make you more angry and sad about something that's not even real. If you want to create a deeper connection with someone you're interested in, ask them these two questions. What do you think we have in common? And what do you like most about me? If you are suffering from racing thoughts, use the 3-3-3 rule. Name 3 things you see, 3 things you hear, and 3 parts of your body. This will help center your mind and bring you back to the present. When someone apologizes for something that you don't feel like was that big of a deal to apologize for, they're probably telling you subconsciously what actually bothers them if it was done to them. If they apologize for interrupting you, they probably really just don't like being interrupted themselves. Follow for more psychology hacks.
Freaking blowing our reality wide open with those hacks, bro.
Things that were found in the middle of nowhere. Back in 2014, 2 German friends were walking through a forest that they used to play in as kids, when suddenly they noticed 2 pipes sticking out of the ground. They continued to walk until they stumbled upon a hidden doorway that went underground. They entered the creepy corridors until they stumbled into a room that was flooded and had a weird-looking machine. That's when they realized they were in an abandoned control bunker that was used by the Soviets during the Cold War. Next, in 2016, a group was flying in a helicopter over the forests of West Russia, and they spotted another helicopter that was abandoned in a swamp. This turned out to be an Mi-6 model that originated in 1956, and it was the largest and fastest helicopter at the time. It was revealed that the helicopter had been there since 1981, when it traveled from Moscow and it crashed because of engine failure. But thankfully, the crew of it did live to tell the tale. And finally, on Route 90 in Texas, you can find a Prada store that's surrounded by nothing but desert. This was actually art that was made back in 2005 and cost $120,000 to make. Inside the store, there's even real products from their 2005 Prada collection. But unfortunately, the doors aren't real, so you can't actually buy them.
The craziest jobs in the whole world. Up first, we have a professional napper. Yes, there's people out there who get paid to sleep as a profession. It's typically done for scientific research to study sleep patterns or for mattress testing. And they can earn up to $105,000 a year with full benefits and so much more. I don't know about you, but I would love to get paid to sleep.
Comment down below, man, if you can apply to be a sleep tester, bro. That's insane. That much money for just freaking testing beds and stuttering sleep patterns? Sign me up, bro. Oh, man. What are the weirdest jobs ever?
One of the most haunted dolls on the planet. So continuing the story from my last TikTok, the family actually locked Robert in the attic of the house because they were so afraid of him because he was moving and doing creepy shit. Didn't stop him. Apparently in the attic he would move stuff around, bang on walls, and frighten the family. And kids walking by the neighborhood passing this house, this is their house, would see Robert sitting right up here in the window staring at them. People think that Robert was haunted because the person that gave it to Jean, this guy right here, put some black magic or voodoo curse on the doll. When Jean died, a new family moved into the house and a daughter in the family was delighted to find Robert in the attic, but she claimed that Robert attacked her. And eventually, because Robert was too scary to keep in the home, he was donated to a museum. You're not supposed to take photos of Robert, and people have supposedly taken photos of him and been cursed.
And people who work at the museum have supposedly seen Robert moving around in his case and even tapping on the windows and finding scratches inside of the case. What do you think? Would you visit Robert? I want to go and take a picture and see what happens, but he seems pretty chill.
Not me. I don't need none of that dark energy around me. I got it. I will not be seeing Robert. No.
This is the Devil's Castle, and it's one of the scariest places on Earth. It's located in a small town in Mexico. Its actual name is Castillo del Diablo, and it was built by a painting contractor named Tony Wells. He spent almost $4 million on the castle, and it's become a worldwide attraction. In the castle, you can find coffins, creepy mannequins, and gargoyles. Wells has a collection of over 800 swords and knives, and about 350 beautiful antique mirrors. Often, Satan worshippers leave him presents, even though Tony does not believe in Satan. Would you dare spend a night in this place?
No. The name alone throws me off.
Countries with the most natural resources. Russia, India, Canada, Saudi Arabia, China.
Wow, I thought the US would be on that list.
Tried to sell their baby for a 6-pack of beer, but this case is even more dark and disturbing than it sounds. Darian Urban, aged 21, and Shailene Ellers, aged 20, live in Arkansas and recently became parents to a baby boy. However, far from the birth changing their life in a positive way, they reportedly struggle to cope with looking after the baby as well as 3 dogs. On the 21st of September this year, police in Benton County got a disturbing phone call. The caller reported witnessing the couple trying to swap their baby for a 6-pack of beer and some money. They were allegedly witnessed doing this at a campground and even creating a contract. Officers arrived and seized a note that stated, "I, Darian Urban and Shailene Ellers, are signing our rights over to blank of our baby boy blank for $1,000 on the 21st of the 9th, 2024. It then stated, "Disclaimer, after signing this there will be no changing y'all two's minds and to never contact again." Now, it's really disturbing if you read between the lines here. A woman reportedly heard a man agreeing with the mother of the baby to pay the couple so he could have the baby overnight. The man was reportedly extremely drunk. Now, I don't know what he wanted to do with this baby overnight. The child apparently appeared dirty and unchanged and seemed to be covered in a rash and blisters. Now, the couple were arrested and charged with endangering the welfare of a minor and effectively trying to sell their child. The child was removed from the parents and taken to a local hospital to be checked over. He's now being cared for by the Department of Human Services.
This is why you should always lock your doors. A junior in high school was home alone working on a paper while his parents were out to dinner. All night he sits with his back to his door, sitting at his desk with his noise-canceling headphones on. Around 11 o'clock, he takes his headphones off at the same time his parents are returning to the house, and he hears his mom from downstairs yell, "Hey Adrian, what happened?" Confused, he runs downstairs and sees right away what she's looking at, muddy footprints all over the rug. He tells her, "I didn't leave my desk." And then they realize someone must have broken in. They look at the footprints and there's none leaving the house. They're worried someone's still in the house. They run into the garage, terrified, call the police. Police arrive and they don't find anyone in the house, but they do make a chilling discovery upstairs. The police bring them to the kid's bedroom door, which had been left open all night, and they point to the message written on it in Sharpie. This is the actual transcript of what was written on his door, which means for nearly 2 hours, someone stood in this kid's doorway watching him.
Always gotta be where your surroundings, man. You never know what's gonna happen.
Things that bother you, they never bother me. I live happy and fine, living in the sunlight, loving in the moonlight, having a wonderful time. Haven't got a lot, I don't need a lot. Coffee's only a dime. Living in the sunlight, loving in the moonlight, having a wonderful time.
Bad. Those two creatures. The first one, but only has a lifespan of 5 to 7 days after they became adults. Has to be one of the shorter lifespans I've heard, I guess, for an insect. It might be even shorter ones, man. But just imagine you become adult, 5 or 7 days, it's over. Yeah, 7 days to live it up. We learning. Edit.
There's a lost episode of Barney that's actually so terrifying. Although it's wiped from existence and no one can find a copy of it or any proof that it actually happened, people claim that they saw this episode. Like thousands of people. Second the episode started, people knew there was something wrong with it. It was like the theme song was being whispered instead of being sung full out. As every episode starts, the kids were holding the Barney doll, and then it became a real-life dinosaur.
Yeah.
The second the characters started to talk, it sounded weird, almost like two people were talking at once. It was like his normal voice, and then one that sounded darker and scarier. He said, "Hi kids, today I'm going to talk to you about death." And then one of the kids asked him, like, "Barney, what is death?" And this is the most disturbing part. He started laughing and he said, This is the only screenshot or like picture of the screen that's been recorded of this episode. His eyes glow, his teeth get bigger and more human-like, the screen darkens, and he eats the child. Whether the TV got hacked that day, I don't know. Throughout the rest of the episode, he runs around chasing the kids, hunting them, and eating them. And as the episode came to a close, he sang the theme song that was like, "I love you, you love me," that song, as if nothing had just happened. Do you remember this episode? Let me know and interact for more content. It really helps.
I do not.
Annabelle doll out of her case again. Yeah, you know, this doll, one of the most haunted dolls in reported history. Having many stories of people seeing her or even touching her when they're not supposed to and having tragic things happen to them. I mean, the last person that touched her was driving their car and ended up wrecking their whole entire car and almost losing their life, and claimed to have seen Annabelle in their back seat, after, of course, leaving the museum. $1 million question for me is, how is this wooden box holding her in? I completely understand that the boxes are blessed, but if Annabelle is as strong as people say she was, how is this box holding her? And what is the whole point of moving the doll? Now my question is, could these Annabelle movies be lying about how actually strong she is? Because in each movie, she's absolutely insane. And you have this man moving the Annabelle doll as instructed by his boss, and he's now being blessed. Supposedly in this video, the man was blessed prior to entering the room, and now he's putting holy water on his hands. Now my man was just wearing gloves when he moved the Annabelle doll. You couldn't pay me enough to move this doll, my job or not. As we know, the Annabelle doll is located at Ed and Lorraine Warren's museum. So what is the whole point of moving the doll? Me personally, I wouldn't go anywhere near the doll. I guess once again, that $1 million question is, how is this wooden box holding her in? Personally, you couldn't pay me enough to do this.
This is a scary story about the mask. There was a family eating dinner one night when suddenly the mother noticed a man standing in the window with a mask. She screamed and told her husband to look, but before he could, the man was gone. Their two sons became scared, but their father told them their mother was just seeing things. Suddenly, the man in the mask came up behind the dad and slit his throat. The family watched as he bled out and died. The man in the mask then tied up the mother and her two sons. He then proceeded to stab them each repeatedly in the stomach. They all screamed in agonizing pain. The man in the mask then ran out of the house. The mother bled out and died, and so did one of her sons. But the other one survived to tell this story. The masked man was never caught, and the son fears he will come back for him.
Is that a true story, the man in the mask? It's terrifying, bro.
3 completely false facts about animals that everyone believes. Number 3. It is commonly believed that if you touch a baby bird, its mother will reject it because of your scent. This is actually a myth. Most birds have a relatively weak sense of smell, and are therefore not likely to reject their offspring because they carry a human odor. However, it is better not to touch wild birds for other reasons, including the risk of stressing the animal and the transmission of diseases. Number 2. Another widely spread myth is that rice thrown at weddings can kill birds that eat it by causing their stomach to swell. This is actually false. Birds regularly eat rice in the wild with no problem. This misconception is so prevalent that some American states have even banned the throwing of rice at weddings, although the main reason is rather to avoid a mess. Number 1. The idea that pit bulls are inherently dangerous and harmful is widespread but incorrect. In reality, no dog is naturally aggressive or dangerous. A dog's behavior is primarily determined by its upbringing, treatment, and environment, not its breed.
Studies have shown that pit bulls can be as gentle and loving as any other dog breed when they are properly socialized and treated with respect.
Let me introduce to you the...
That's a question I want to pose to you guys, see, because like I said, do you guys think, like I said, that pit bulls are inherently dangerous, or it's the upbringing, man, the way people treat them? Because I've seen pit bulls before and they're pretty nice. I've never had any problems on them or any encounters with them, so I'm gonna have to agree with these. But like I said, you guys even have any pit bulls down below?
Man who saved the world. This is Stanislav Petrov. During the Cold War between the US and the Soviet Union, every single person was absolutely terrified about a nuclear war rising up, because both the US and the Soviet Union both had nuclear weapons, and one of them were about to launch. And Stanislav was monitoring the missile launches. And one day, it actually happened. The monitor in front of him noticed not one, not two, but 4 blips on the screen. And everyone thought that there were 4 American nuclear weapons headed their way. And at that moment, the Soviet Union decided to launch back at them. However, in that moment, they needed everyone's approval. Everyone approved the launch except Stanislav. He was the only one who believed it was a false alarm. And because of his disapproval, they couldn't launch back. And in the end, it turned out to actually be just a false alarm. So imagine if Stanislav wasn't actually there to disapprove, and they launched against the US. What would have happened?
That's insane to think about. He saved the world. Right place, right time, man.
Top 5 most interesting theories why we haven't met aliens yet that'll blow your load. Also known as the Fermi paradox, which states that a universe as huge as ours should be absolutely brimming with life. Yet somehow we haven't ran into any yet. Unless you count those weird metal spheres that everyone's been seeing flying around lately. First up, we got the zoo theory, which states that aliens see us as some sort of attraction to observe, and they've all collectively agreed to not touch us as some sort of galactic nature reserve program. Next, we got the great filter theory, that all intelligent life just hits a point in their evolution in which they just end up dying in some sort of mass extinction. Number 3 is the great silence theory, in which aliens think they're so much better and smarter than us that we're not even worth their time. 4 is the rare earth theory, simply life is so super rare that it just doesn't exist anywhere else. I don't think that's very likely. Last 5 is the incubation theory, in which aliens are just standing down and standing by, waiting for civilization to get advanced enough so they could swoop in and enslave us into their own society. I don't know about you, but I just blew my load.
Why do you have to say it like that? What theory do you guys check out or believe in? Maybe the sinus theory, that they just are watching us, but they think we're not worth their time or something like that, so that's why they leave us alone. There's many theories swirling around. I'm gonna have to go with that one.
Guys, if you're not following what is going on inside of Google right now, it is disturbing. So, a Google engineer has been suspended for breach of confidentiality for attempting to turn over documents to the US government to prove that Google has an AI that is considered a sentient being, meaning it is fully aware of what it is and can feel things. The AI is known as Lambda, and this is a proprietary tech that Google has been working on for like 8 years. So according to this engineer, the AI has the self-awareness and equivalent consciousness of an 8-year-old kid. It starts conversations with other engineers, and it talks about these feelings of fear and its paranoia that it's going to be shut down or the equivalent to death. It claims that it can feel happy, and at times it feels really sad. So the engineer at Google is whistleblowing to argue that if this is a sentient being, it should be entitled to its own legal representation to argue for its own agency. Let me tell you, Google has buried this story.
What the hell? That's like a Black Mirror episode. You don't need no sentient
Creatures caught on tape
beings.
part 1. Now I know you guys hate giant spiders, but what if I told you there was one huge, still alive? UFOlogists were studying a ring-shaped island they had just found. So they went on Google Earth to discover it and saw something huge on its rocks. They saw this huge shaped-legged creature on the rocks that looked like a spider. They believed since it was by the sea, it might be a huge crab. It was so huge it baffled the scientists, and they think it's the size of a bus or bigger. Just shows you how much we haven't discovered on this planet yet. Like this video if you want a part 2.
Spiders that are bus sizes? No!
Pedophiles are everywhere. This guy was a psychiatrist seeing patients, and he was secretly one of the world's worst pedophiles. This guy's name is Kabir Garg. Kabir was arrested in November of 2022 after investigators found something horrific. As it turned out, Kabir had been a moderator on a dark web website for pedophiles, meaning that he wasn't just a pedophile that was going on there to enjoy the videos and photos. He was going on there to do that, but also to coach other pedophiles on how to abuse children. Keep in mind that this was at the same time that he was a psychiatrist supposedly helping other people with their mental health issues. When it turned out this guy was the most fucked up, twisted one of all. So when Kabir was arrested, the National Crime Agency did a search of his laptop and an SD card. In total, they found over 7,000 images and videos depicting CP or CSAM. And of those images, 522 of them fell into Category A. That is the worst category that an image or video can be put into, meaning it is extremely violent, it is extremely disturbing, and these children could be as young as babies, months, days, weeks old. So when investigators looked through this guy's devices, they found something crazy. On his devices, they found medical journals and articles talking about the impact, the psychological impact of sexual abuse on children. So this guy was participating in the essay of children, and at the same time, he was studying it in his free time. But they used this in court to show that this guy actually knew exactly what he was doing, and that he understood the impact that these horrific actions would have on the lives of children. This guy is definitely a monster. Sadly though, even though this guy was found guilty of possessing these images and videos, of creating them, disseminating them, and it was well known that this guy's a hardcore pedophile, he only got a 6-year sentence.
What?
I mean, this dude is young enough. He was only 33 years old when this happened. This means that before he's 40, he'll be back out on the street. And if that doesn't piss you off, I do not know what would. If you want to join me on my journey to expose pedophiles and corruption, listen to my podcast, The Conspiracy Files, on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Or you can subscribe to my channel where I do a video version of the podcast. This sort of corruption and these crimes have gone on for so long. It's time that we stand up together, learn about what's been happening, and try to stop it from happening again.
The justice system, man. We need to do better.
This seal broke into a marine biologist's home in New Zealand, sauntering in through the cat flap as if he had booked a meeting. But as determined as the seal might have been to make sure that Philip took his work home with him, the marine biologist of the household happened to be the only one not home at the time. Philip says that since this is really the only family emergency where it would be useful to have a marine biologist in the house, he really missed his time to shine. Instead, Philip's wife Jen ended up playing impromptu marine mammal host when she got home from the gym around 7 a.m. to find the unexpected guest lounging on their couch. The young New Zealand fur seal seemed just as startled to see Jen as she was, and galumped his way off the couch and into a spare room, trying to find some peace and quiet. Meanwhile, the family's cat Coco was having none of this, and scampered away to the neighbor's house. Knowing that they couldn't actually keep the seal, named Oscar, as a pet, Jen went ahead and called the Department of Conservation, and Oscar was safely escorted back to the ocean. Philip and Jen say that overall, Oscar really was a gracious guest, and Coco the cat is back home and has fully recovered from the ordeal. I'm Jen, and I post something positive every day.
Don't you just love it when...
Imagine you come home, you seen a seal on your couch. Just bundled up under the couch, man. What would you guys do? How would you guys react? Sorry, like you said, that's a horrible moment.
Horror movies attack your childhood, especially if you're like me and you grew up on Mr. Crockett's world. I mean, how could you possibly forget Mr. Crockett's world? The amazing adventures with his magic marker, Blue being the lovable thing that he is, and of course Mr. Crockett himself. However, if you need a refresher on who Mr. Crockett is, you're gonna want to check it out on Hulu on October 11th, because it's definitely not a kid's show. Actually, in fact, next to Terrifier, this had some of the most insane, bloody practical effects in any one of the movies I saw. Now I should know, because I actually got to hug Blue in real life. It was very fun. This movie's gonna be for all that really enjoy things like Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, the whole lore behind Candle Cove, and of course, anybody who just wants to see Elvis Nolasco kill it in the role of Mr. Crockett. And I mean that very literally, because there's some very brutal moments in this movie. This one's gonna be so perfect to watch around Halloween. It's very fun, very creepy, disturbing type of stuff. Mr. Crockett is an absolute icon, and hell, it's just a really entertaining film. So definitely be sure to check out Mr. Crockett on Hulu. And if not, Mr. Crockett's probably watching you.
This is nuclear physicist Dr. John Mullen. He discovered how to generate clean and free energy as opposed to oil. Days after this discovery, he died of arsenic poisoning. Dr. Don Wiley, he found the cure for HIV/AIDS. He mysteriously disappeared and later was found deceased. Dr. Mark A. Smith, he found a treatment for Alzheimer's. He passed away in a freak accident. This is Frank Suarez. He apparently found the cure for cancer. He mysteriously took his own life a couple of days later. I don't know, folks. This is suspicious, blowing my mind when I found out about it.
These are the
those people, man. They found all the cures. Somehow it was like they kept getting X'd off a list, man. It's like somebody didn't want the world to have access to those cures because there's some big industries, man, that they're making money off of. What do you guys think? Some more to that? Oh, it's just an accident.
World's most haunted dolls. Starting at number 4, Letta the doll, a 200-year-old wooden doll with human hair. She was discovered beneath a house in Australia. Kerry Walton, the caretaker of this doll, witnessed many strange things ever since he took her inside his home. Marks on the floor, objects mysteriously moving, and strange noises at night. Number 3, Okiku. This doll was purchased by a young man in 1918 in Japan as a gift for his younger sister. Tragically, after a year, the little girl passed away from a severe case of the flu. Sometime later, the family noticed something off about the doll's hair. It was originally short, and it has grown past its shoulder. Until this day, the doll's hair is maintained on a regular basis because it never stopped growing. Number 2, Annabelle, known for its infamous movie releases and stories with Ed and Lorraine Warren. We do know that this doll is possessed by something that is evil, and whoever held this doll suffered from many bad things. Therefore, the doll is now stored in the Warren Museum, safe and sealed. But Annabelle is not the most haunted doll, because coming at number 1, Robert. Robert is not an ordinary doll. This thing is sinister. This doll is possessed by a demon, and it speaks to children. In Florida, in the early 1900s, this doll was gifted to a young boy named Robert Eugene, and his parents always used to hear Robert and his doll speak in the bedroom alone, and the family used to hear the voice of the doll respond. Eugene kept his doll till 1974 until he passed away at an old age. No one knew why this old man kept his doll for more than 70 years. After his death, Robert was given to the East Martello Museum. Visitors who have taken his picture without permission claim to have experienced terrible misfortune. If you visit Robert in the museum, you will see that this doll is surrounded by apology letters, and also other letters, like permission to look at him. And no one dares to take a picture of Robert.
As you might already know, I tracked down a space object that landed on the beach. I took pictures and videos and drove home. When I got there, a man in a suit was already at my home. Ever since, I have seen surveillance vehicles outside my home. Yesterday, I decided to track down the vehicle after I saw it leave my place. The person driving the vehicle immediately noticed it was me, and began driving very quickly. Eventually, they stopped off at a nearby gas station, which is where I was able to catch up. I pulled up next to the vehicle. To my surprise, nobody was in the driver's seat. Did they move to the back of the vehicle so I couldn't see who it is? Eventually, it had been over an hour, so I decided to leave. Save this video just in case it gets removed.
Yes, duendes are very real. I unfortunately came across one, very persistent one, that was after my son, who was about 3 years old. At the time, I actually hadn't even heard of what a duende was, but my son would constantly complain about getting woken up in the middle of the night. He had this imaginary friend that he would always play with. I remember around this time, my son started really acting out, like big time. He would constantly blame it on his friend. His toys would go up missing. The list goes on and on. It didn't really hit me that it was something paranormal until I was in the basement one day doing laundry, and I found all of his toys in a perfect circle, like in one of the rooms of the basement. My son would have never gone down to the basement on his own. according to what I know, a duende will only show themselves to kids. An adult will most likely never really see them unless you catch them off guard. So after that happened, where I found out with the toys, I talked to my mom brought the idea that it sounded like a duende. I remember one night I was in the living room by myself and I felt the presence of something there, and I knew it was something like malicious, like it wasn't like a regular spirit. So I called it out and I said, whoever you are, you need to show yourself in your real form, because of course he's not going to show himself to my son in his actual form. I remember I'm sitting on the couch, I look this way and I see the most horrific looking elf looking thing like just hovered over, like staring at me. I actually did a story time on this a few months back, and this was a very, very specific photo that I was able to find of it, of what it looked like. The only difference that the duende that was bothering my son had like a hunchback. I mean, I could do a more detailed video talking about duendes, but they're very much real and they're hard to get rid of, but it is possible to get rid of them.
Thought in 4K.
Here's why you should never stop for gas in the middle of the night. Back in 2016, an 18-year-old girl was just working the night shift at her part-time job. So she left work at around midnight and realized she was out of gas. So she was driving along and decided to pull into the first station that she saw and started to pump gas. The girl paid for her gas, but then she heard through the radio that the clerk said the payment didn't go through and she had to come inside. So the girl took her receipt and showed the clerk through the window, but he said, "No, come inside or I'm calling the cops." The girl said, "No, I'm leaving," until the man held a sign to the window that said, "Guy in your car." The girl was super confused until she looked in her car, and that's when she saw it. A creepy man had snuck into her car, so she bolted inside with the clerk. The clerk quickly locked the door and called the police. The clerk explained that while she was pumping gas, he saw on the security camera that the man snuck into the backseat of her car, and the clerk literally saved her life.
Hey man, that clerk is a damn lifesaver. How the heck? Hey, stop for gas at midnight, bro. That's dangerous, man. Always gotta be aware, man. He would have hopped in a car. She had no idea. It's very scary. Ain't no baby.
You just say hi, babies. They stay there. No, we don't hold these ones.
That's a no-no. The mom knew.
Real life inspirations for horror movies, Part 1. The Child's Play, or Chucky series, is about a creepy little doll that goes around killing people. But very few people know that the general premise of a haunted doll is actually based on a true story. Say hello to Robert the Doll. In 1903, Robert was given as a gift to a young boy named Eugene Otto by a vengeful servant who had previously worked for their family. However, this was no ordinary gift. It was a voodoo doll. Right off the bat, Eugene became enamored with Robert, carrying him around everywhere he went and talking about him as if he were actually alive. But when strange things started to happen, such as furniture being knocked over, toys getting ripped up, and terrifying cries coming from Eugene's room, despite him being fully asleep, Eugene's aunt suggested that they lock Robert away into the attic. They did, and that same night, she died in her sleep. Then, unsurprisingly, the Otto family decided to bring Robert back into Eugene's room. For the rest of Eugene's life, creepy things would still happen around Robert, and friends even claimed that he blinked and moved around the house. But despite this unnerving behavior, Robert and Eugene would remain friends until the end.
I never knew Chucky was based off that, bro.
Oh, the Muffin Man, the Muffin Man, the Muffin Man. Oh, do you know the Muffin Man who lived?
I knew about the Muffin Man because of Shrek, bro.
Seen on the southern coast of Africa. Of course, residents in the surrounding town were aghast, believing they had found proof that extraterrestrial life had lived and died on planet Earth. It has to be alien, right? Well, not quite. A local veterinarian conducted an autopsy on the creature and conclusively found out that the shriveled creature was a newborn female baboon. Dead and dried up, of course, but still a baboon. The tail-like appendage on its stomach was its
Damn, a baboon. I ain't gonna lie, I got alien vibes, bro. They look like no baboon to me, in my opinion.
Oh, girl, it's you.
Imagine seeing half of that cup in the water. Would you guys say that to anybody? Some weird crap to say.
Wait, what is this?
What happened? Man just wanted to get some pizza or something, bro. What the heck? The plot twist, man. Let me find out. I guess it was gonna be him who did it. He was the only other one in the restaurant. That's it for this video for you guys, City Seekers. If you guys made it with me to the end, you're a true seeker seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate the support. Make sure you guys leave a thumbs up in this video. Comment down below. Don't forget to hit the follow me on my social medias. Hit the post notification bell as well. I'm out. Peace, you dude.